Welcome to another episode of the Carpe Fide podcast, where if the shoe fits, you wear it.
And if the truth hurts, you bear it.
I am Justin Gruber.
And I am Jesse Gruber.
And today we hope you will seize the faith. Everybody, welcome to episode 235 of the Carpe Fide podcast.
Hey, everybody, welcome back.
I was like, let me start off differently.
You're very Italian.
Yeah, I don't know. It's me, Mario.
Something like that.
No, I can't talk about Mario. I'm bitter at Mario right now.
Yeah, there's some weird licensing stuff going on with our movie night for Mario. It's sad.
Yeah, so our church does like the legal thing where instead of like, oh, hey, we're going to show a movie and we don't pay for the license, we actually pay for the license. And we have our flyers printed up. We print them up, send them back out in, May. And we had Super Mario Galaxy, the new Super Mario movie, for this coming Friday. And they called us the end of last week, like, so they're actually saying the license can't start yet. So I'm still working on it, but you might have to pick a different movie. And it's like, bro, we made these flyers up back in May. Like this. Anyway, it's a whole thing. I'm bitter at Mario. Mario could. It's clogged my pipes. That's
really
not great.
Really grinds your
great.
gears. Oh no.
But we missed you all last week. It was busy. As is every week.
We also missed them
back.
the week prior. I shouldn't cough into the microphone. I'm sorry.
Has it really been 2 weeks?
Yeah, because it was the 4th of July the other week. We recorded prior to the 4th of July. Then it was 4th of July. And then we never recorded for that. And then I couldn't record last week. And then, yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Well, we posted on the 10th.
What?
We posted an episode July 10th, and then there's the 17th, and then this will be the 24th.
Oh, so we missed the 3rd, recorded the 10th, missed the 17th.
Yeah, it's been a whole thing. We're sorry.
Right.
We're sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
We probably need like some sort of way to manage the tasks we need to get done.
Some people did some things, and that prevented us from recording.
I just wish there was an app that would help you with tasks. That'd be great.
Oh, hey, I can tell you about one. So our friend has created an app, actually for that very purpose. It's called the Path of Progress. You can go to pathofprogress.ca and enter code Carpe Fide, CARPEFIDE. And
are you a speak and spell? What happened?
I don't know. That actually predates me, I think. So I don't really know what a speak and spell sounds like.
You've never seen Toy Story?
It's, yes, I have.
Okay, well, there's a speak and spell of that.
Yeah, but was I really robotic? I was trying to just be clear.
CARPEFIDE. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This app is awesome. And if you go to the website, you'll see how awesome it is. Because you're like, oh, this is a great website. The app's just perfect. It's great.
The app is just like that. So you can create profiles for each of your kids. You can create admin profiles. You can customize what chores, who does the chores, what day they do the chores. You can track everything from chores to education. There's learning modules on there, and they earn coins and gems that they can spend for in-app avatars or even real-world prizes that you as the parent can set, like ice cream on Friday or more screen time or pick a family movie. Whatever you want to set it at, you can create that. And it's an absolutely fantastic app that my family's been using for a while now. And it is now open for the public. So you can go in and create your own profile and use code Carpe Fide to get some really, really sweet in-app gear. So again, pathofprogress.ca.
Yes, and everything is done to the very top. So go check it out because the quality is very nice.
I've made a mistake. I have logged into pathofprogress.ca and was
Now you are
greeted
hearing the
with
music,
was greeted with was greeted with traditional tavern music.
the epic music
There is no drinking in
of.
Path of Progress.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying there can't be. There could be.
Yes,
Let's not
sure.
exclude it.
I was just trying to. I was trying to market to the teetotalers.
Yeah, it's not required in the app, but I mean, like, if you were to,
Oh, drink and use the app at the same time.
yeah, I mean, like,
It's
not
way
like
safer.
driving.
Way safer than drinking and driving. Yes.
Yeah,
please,
it's fine.
please
It's
don't do that.
okay.
That would be bad. That would be wrong.
Yes. Public safety announcement: have your pet spayed or neutered, and don't drink and drive.
Well, you only need to spay and neuter your pets if you don't plan on breeding them.
That's a fact. If you're going to breed your pet and you do that, why? What are you, an idiot? What are you,
Great.
moron?
Now Pete is going to be on here. This is devolved into anyway. Pathofprogress.ca. Use code Carpe Fide. Get your gear. There's a trial, so you can try it. I believe for 30 days for free.
It's 30 days. I was just on there.
Yeah, nice. So you don't have anything to lose. Make an account, set it up, use it, enjoy it.
Get it done.
My kids love using the app. It's very fantastic. They're very engaged with it.
Now, this week on the Carpe Fide podcast,
Hard cut.
we are going to pick up from where we left off 2 weeks ago when we let that horrible mayor of New York City spew for 15 minutes and then interjected over top of him because it was a giant misrepresentation of history.
Dude, we could
And
do
we told you.
we could do a whole nother episode. He just did a whole speech about Netanyahu. Did you see that?
I didn't. I just kind of tune out whenever I see a Mamdani headline. I'm like, oh, cool. Somebody, stupid man did stupid thing again. Said dumb things. Words came out of his face hole. Like I just like I kind of ignore it.
It was interesting because he tried to have his head of state tried to have a meeting with Iran, and then the White House canceled it, and then he goes and puts out this video that was way better produced than the 4th of July video, by the way. You couldn't see the drawers on the desk, so there's at least that.
Oh, he figured out how the desk works.
He figured it out. But
good for him.
Anyway, yeah, that episode.
So we're going to let the voices from our past speak tonight. We're going to read some historical texts. One you know well. Well, actually, part of one you know very well. The other two, which is part of something you think you know, but is not in what we know it to be. Wow, that's really veiled.
What?
That was totally convoluted.
What?
Just trust me. There's one thing that you'll know really well, and you'll be like, oh, I know this. And then there's part of that very document that you have no idea because it was removed, but yet it was written. We're going to let two historical figures, two founding fathers speak. One of them being Ben Franklin and the other being Thomas Jefferson. And I particularly enjoy picking on these two founding fathers because they are often cited as the least Christian, most deist of our founding fathers. But if you were to read the things that they wrote and said, you would probably categorize them as right-wing fascists.
Or at least Southern Baptists.
Probably more like Christian nationalists, honestly, at the end of the day.
I'm just kidding.
Not that Southern Baptists can be Christian nationalists. It's okay. We accept you guys.
I think the majority of the signers are on the statement on Christian nationalism are actually not Southern Baptists.
Southern Baptists, but in the vein of our first document. So here's your format for tonight. Jesse's going to read the first document, and then we're going to just kind of talk about some key aspects of it and what makes it kind of stand out, and how much different the view of what is seen as important as opposed to the things we had to subjugate ourselves to listening to last time. And then we'll do that with both of these documents. The first one actually is going to be Ben Franklin's proposition. He proposed that there be a call for prayer to open each meeting of the Constitutional Convention. So this particular petition comes from Ben Franklin on June 28th, 1787. So we kept it right in that theme of July 4th. And I felt confident with that. So you'll hear Ben Franklin, who many will say was some sort of deist, um, appeal for the necessity of prayer and why he sees the necessity of prayer as they are starting to begin to form what the documents of the nation's foundings will actually be. So, without further ado, Jesse, take it away.
Should I read it like Donald Trump?
No, no, because you can, but I will read the next thing as Kermit the Frog. So,
No, I won't do it. All right. So the preamble here. Call for prayer in the Constitutional Convention, June 28, 1787. Benjamin Franklin. By late June, the Constitutional Convention of 1787 was mired in dissension. In a memorable speech, the Venerable Benjamin Franklin recommended that prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning. Franklin's solemn proposal and the subsequent discussion in the convention chambers are reprinted from James Madison's convention's notes. And he begins thusly. Mr. President, the small progress we have made after 4 or 5 weeks' close attendance and continual reasonings with each other are different sentiments on almost every question, several of the last producing as many noes as ayes. As ayes, I guess I should say ayes, as many noes as ayes, is methinks a melancholy proof of the imperfection of the human understanding. We indeed seem to feel our own want of political wisdom, since we have been running about in search of it. We have gone back to ancient history for models of government and examined the different forms of those republics, which having been formed with the seeds of their own dissolution now no longer exist. And we have viewed modern states all round Europe, but find none of their constitutions suitable to our circumstances. In this situation of this assembly, groping as it were in the dark to find political truth, and scarce able to distinguish it when presented to us, how has it happened, sir, that we have not hitherto once thought of humbly applying to the Father of lights to illuminate our understandings? In the beginning of the contest with Great Britain, when we were sensible of danger, we had daily prayer in this room for the divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard, and they were graciously answered. All of us who were engaged in the struggle must have observed frequent instances of a superintending providence in our favor. To that kind of providence we owe this happy opportunity of consulting in peace on the means of establishing our future national felicity. And have we now forgotten that powerful friend? Or do we imagine that we no longer need his assistance? I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings that except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. I firmly believe this, and I also believe that without his concurring aid we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. We shall be divided by our little partial local interests, our projects will be confounded, and we ourselves shall become a reproach and byword down to future ages. And what is worse, mankind may hereafter from this unfortunate instance despair of establishing governments by human wisdom, and leave it to chance, war, and conquest. I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed to that business, and that one or more of the clergy of this city be requested to officiate in this service.
what a pagan! What an absolute God-hating pagan, Ben Franklin. I tell you what. So
He quotes more scripture in this than most megachurch pastors do in the course of a month of Sundays.
So that's why I'm like right off the bat, compare and contrast, right?
And that's saying something. He only quoted like 2 or 3 verses.
Well, I mean, he quotes directly from the scriptures. He refers to God as Father of Light, the Father of Lights, which direct scriptural quote. He talks about the sparrow falling. That is a direct biblical quote, and he quotes, "Except the Lord to build the house, they labor in vain that build it." So there's three direct quotes. I mean, this is only a like 3 paragraph little speech here. That's a lot of quotes. I think one of the big things that really stands out to me is, uh, and the Revolutionary War has to be for us the ethos in which the country was founded, um, and that ethos, according to Ben Franklin, was bathed in prayer. Right? They they needed prayer. They acknowledged the need of God's intervention. That there was no humanly hope to be had. They needed heavenly hope, um, considering the challenge that they faced. And then to tie that directly into, why would we contemplate that we can now that we have received that blessing, continue forward without God's aid, without God's supernatural intervention? It's so obvious. Like, yeah, duh. But where is that in in the political consideration, the political sphere now? I mean, Mamdani's whole speech was about, you know, what we do, what man can do, and it had nothing to do with God.
I forgot I was muted. Um, yeah, I think this captures. I feel like I identify so much with this moment because this is like life. Like we just get caught up in the busyness of life and circumstance that we forget. And one of my favorite words in the Bible is remember, because it is written all the time, especially in the Old Testament when God's talking to Israel. It's nothing but remember, 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 because we are so prone to forget providence. We are so prone to forget God's divine hand interacting with humanity and what he calls us to do. And like I feel that viscerally. I feel that in the course of multiple times a day. Like forget a week, forget a month, forget a year. Like daily I have these moments where it's like, crap, I should be petitioning the person who can fix this, or the person who can help me, or the person who understands me. Like we forget all the time, which is why the scriptures call us to remember so often. And I whenever I read historical speeches or notes, it just makes me so frustrated that our current political culture is just so far from even like hinting at this. I mean, I think you had Tennessee a little while ago calling for a day of prayer or something
Yeah,
like
you
that.
had tennis. Two states. They not only called for prayer, they actually redefined what the month of June was going to be celebrated as in their states. It was whatever one Huckabee Sanders is from, and then it was Tennessee.
She's like down. She's like down south. She's like Arkansas maybe.
Is Arkansas? Would you? I mean, it's more like Central America, but okay. I mean, it's fine. We'll go with it.
Arkansas is like one state away from touching the Gulf of America, isn't it?
Oh, the Gulf of America.
Like, why do I have to look this up right now? It's yeah, it's right on top. It's Louisiana's hat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's
I
always
mean, I guess it is horizontal to Tennessee in that sense, but
it's fine.
I don't know. I just associate that with very deep south.
I always put the chef in as in Central America and then Texas. I don't know, but it's south. It's southern. It's in the southern hemisphere
Okay,
of our
well, it's
nation.
southern than New Jersey, so everything's in the
Heck
south.
yeah, it is. Gosh.
Okay, well now
Sorry,
that that's out of the way.
you were saying.
No, no, no. That's all I wanted to say is that we are so prone to forget that we must remember, and I felt that this call to prayer was very it had that flavor of remembrance. It's a direct call of remembrance, in fact. Um,
Yeah, and so much is given on the humanistic side of how smart, like these were smart, learned men. Like they weren't dumb. They read, right? And to hear Ben Franklin
a
go on
lot.
how, yeah, a lot. Like we're that they've consulted all of the historical models of government, right? And republics, and even the modern European models, and none seem to be fitting. Yet, how could we have forgotten to not appeal to the Father of Lights to illuminate our understanding? That's just such a great line. Like, of course, like we've like, and you're right, because this task loomed large in them. Like, we need great, we've got freedom now. What do we do with it, right? Like, we need a government now. What are we going to do? um, and you can feel the urgency there, but at the same time, the reality, like, hey, we're talking about all of these things, right? And yet we haven't consulted the God of all things. It's it's a powerful it's a powerful reminder. It's a powerful statement.
Yeah,
And if only it was where we had our governments turn to now.
yeah. I was trying to find. I watched a reel. I don't think I can find it. I don't think Daily Wire posted it actually. I think it was something completely different. But it was a reel of like all of the popular Democrat congressmen and women and you know everybody like that, just like praising the Somali community for making America what it is, and like it was just like clip after clip of them just like celebrating like African American women in every invention that ever happened, and like they totally overblew they totally overblew everything, and, and after every clip they took like a old photo or portrait of whatever the clip referenced, and they took all the white people out and they just put black people. They put black people like they put black people in like the congressional convention. Like he just photoshopped them all in, and it's like that's the current climate of our political culture. That's those are the types of stupid things that we're talking about and just outright lying about. Truth be told, and like here you have Ben Franklin, which all of the haters, point to as like, see, our founding wasn't Christian, but it's like even Ben Franklin can somehow make our founding explicitly Christian.
Yes, he quotes more Bible verses. Like, it's like, oh, I will speak for 5 minutes and quote 3 Bible verses. Oh, cool.
Yeah, and he does it in such a masculine way too. Like I feel like I mean I'm sure that um I'm sure that the stature of Ben Franklin was well felt when he gave this speech. Um, as someone who'd been influential in the founding, but like just reading it, he doesn't mince words. He speaks plainly, and I feel like politicians nowadays do not speak plainly. They make every effort, in fact, not to speak plainly, and that also is a point of frustration to me. And that's what we heard from Mamdani, who was just apparently was giving a timeline of American history, but was not evidently giving a timeline of human history because he jumped from like one thing to another, and it was not obvious. It was just like it was a terrible speech. It was a terribly written speech. You had no clue what he was talking about the whole time. And politics now, like even in stupid congressional hearings and stuff like that, people are just asking the most stupid questions and giving the most vague answers, and it's like nobody speaks plainly anymore. It's like that scene from National Treasure, right? Like where it's like, wow, no one talks like that anymore. Like there's a lot to be desired from this type of clear communication, and I really appreciate it.
Exactly. Sorry, I
Okay, all
was.
right, there we go. I literally didn't have anything else to say, and I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
That would be Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do. All right, it's good. Anyway, moving forward. Um, Going to our next founding father, Thomas Jefferson. Uh, this will be a document you guys are well acquainted with. In fact, depending on your age, you've certainly memorized the beginning of the Declaration of Independence, although so few have actually studied the grievances outlined in the Declaration of Independence. Nonetheless, I will. We're gonna start with the introduction to the grievances. So the part of the Declaration of Independence that you actually know, and we'll just hear what Thomas Jefferson, who's another one of those people that is pointed to as some sort of deist, and by deist I mean many people want to say that these men were open deists. They certainly were not. They attended church every Sunday. They speak of providence with a capital P. They speak of God literally orchestrating the events of man. I mean, we just had Benjamin Franklin quite literally um, say that he is convinced that it is uh, uh, God who is imminently involved in the establishing of governments. Um, so, Thomas Jefferson, Declaration of Independence, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the law of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object evidences a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferances of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. There you go.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Are you going to read the other part?
Well, I thought we'd do this part and then we'd talk about the other part.
Oh, okay.
One part at a time. Well, this was the easy part because this is a part that is everyone knows. We know this. We've learned this in school. But when Jefferson pens the Declaration of Independence, um, he pens it explicitly as appealing to the authority above the king. And the Declaration of Independence was written expressly to enumerate the grievances that they had sought redress from England for. In other words, when Thomas Jefferson says people under a government are willing to suffer light injuries rather than change the government, he's saying we shouldn't just take little things and throw off a government. It's when they are large, injurious, and repeated and are not being addressed that you have to seek out an alternate form of government. That was the main thrust there. And in appealing to the because of these grievances, the appeal is strictly to the creator. capital C, creator. Because the creator is the one who has given man certain unalienable rights, namely life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Anything else there? Did I miss it?
No, I think that's fine. I mean, he also does appeal to the laws of nature and nature's God um, in the preamble there.
Yes. And this is not a generic humanistic appeal. This is the reality that God has defined nature and bound it with laws. And those laws dictate the created equality of mankind, that it shouldn't be usurped into despotism and tyranny.
Yes, because God has given laws, um, that those laws then dictate how we are to operate, and that's kind of the whole crux of the grievances, is because those laws are not being um, the king's government is not operating by said laws, and thus the
Yeah.
grievance.
And not to give a history lesson, but the whole idea was the colonies were not given representation in parliament, and there was no way to have their issues heard. And their issues would be constantly rejected so that they could be continued to be taxed and taken from to fund whatever England was doing. And so as more and more stringent laws would come in to squash what the colonies were doing, and then in fact many of them centering around what the churches could do, what the pastors could do, printing of things. These were big issues that were causing problems in the colonies. Also, that Britain could make money, and yet they couldn't appeal to anyone. They had to appeal to the king, and the king was not giving them any sort of relief in any of their grievances. And so essentially they felt as if they were just a factory for Britain to take from so that they could do whatever they want with. They felt they had no control over the direction of their own lives. That was the big issue. And then it was enumerated with several specific grievances. So when he ends his introduction with the sentence, "To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world," they then enumerated these issues that they had appealed repeatedly and repeatedly to Great Britain for. Now, this next part was in the original draft of the Declaration of Independence, but you will not find it in any of the printed copies of the Declaration of Independence today. And it's intensely interesting because anytime you mention Thomas Jefferson, um, he will be immediately um, canceled because he was a slave owner, and he was a slave owner. They actually say that he had children with his slave, and this is to be disputed. I will say that it is certainly to be disputed. Um, I would say probably easily disputed. Nonetheless, we have a tension in his original draft because there was a grievance that was not included. And here's what the grievance that Thomas Jefferson wrote that was not included in the final draft. And the reason it wasn't included in the final draft is because of the opening of the Declaration of Independence, which says the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. It's that unanimous word that becomes the problem. Here is the missing grievance. He, being the king, he has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation thither. This piratical warfare, the opprobrium of infidel powers, is the warfare of the Christian king of Great Britain, determined to keep an open market where men should be bought and sold. He has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or restrain this execrable commerce, and that this assemblage of horrors might want no fact of distinguished dye. He is now exciting those very people to rise in arms among us and to purchase that liberty of which he has deprived them, and murdering the people upon whom he also obtruded them, thus paying off former crimes committed against the liberties of one people with crimes which he urges them to commit against the lives of another.
Hmm.
You might be shocked. In fact, when you write, if you find, you can find the draft document that includes this. One of the things that's very fascinating is when they wanted to create bold statements, they would indeed use bold. So the document that Jesse and I are looking at has things capitalized and bolded. That's not actually done by. That's actually how Jefferson did it. He actually would go over words that he intended to be bolded. He would go over words. He would capitalize words that he intended emphasis upon. He attacks the Christian nature of the king by citing his forcing of slavery upon the colonies, which is quite fascinating.
Quite.
Yes, and so you would this guy who is that was this horrible slaver actually wrote that slavery was foisted upon the colonies, and even though they tried to outlaw slavery here, Britain ignored their local colonial laws and continued to push the commerce that they were making off of slavery into the colonies, which is exactly what happened. Though slavery became outlawed in Great Britain, it was just pushed off because they still wanted the money from it. It was just too icky for them to have, so they kept taking these ships to the colonies. Very fascinating. Now, if you were to ask Mamdani about Thomas Jefferson, I would probably venture a guess that he had no idea about this particular draft of the Declaration of Independence, in which, and this is important, these men did live in a weird place where they did believe. In fact, we know that they believed this issue would cause problems because even James Madison himself said that if they didn't deal with slavery at the convention, there would be war within 60 years. And he was pretty right because the Civil War came and 300,000 Americans died to answer the question of slavery and the creation of God and as creating men equal. But this was always an issue from the beginning. It was an issue that was literally cited. And you might think, well, George Washington held slaves and Thomas Jefferson held slaves. They were the evil men that foisted slavery upon us. It was quite literally Great Britain. But they're both from Virginia. They're Virginians. The states that opposed this amendment in order to remain unanimous, right? It was the unanimous declaration. One of the things they were very concerned about was the colonies remaining together. If they didn't have all the colonies together, there was no chance of throwing off the clutches of Britain. And so they needed to be unanimous. The reason this particular grievance didn't make it into the final copy of the Declaration of Independence was not because Virginia voted against it, but it was because South Carolina and Georgia would not sign on to the Declaration of Independence with this particular amendment, this grievance in the Declaration of Independence. Fascinating.
What a crazy time that was.
Yeah, it's when you read Washington and even Jefferson, there is a. It would be much like I think you hear a lot of people rail against culture now. This hardship of being in the middle of it, but also seeing the problems of it, and having to deal with living in that to try to figure out how to do it right, is just absolutely very fascinating. Um, George Washington did free every slave he owned when he died, and provided for their education and health care post his death as well. Although he did provide that during his death, during his life, I mean. He wanted them educated and cared for and free. Anyway, curious. These men were impacted not just covertly, but overtly by the biblical outlines and doctrines. They were impacted and pressed upon in every action they took with the weight of the scriptures. And now we have a guy that can't figure out which side of the desk to sit on, spouting about human rights when he really just means taking money from some people and giving it to others. Oh, how far we have fallen.
So far.
So very far. Well, this has been a history lesson with Caller Bay Fide.
I liked this one way better than having to listen to, and I had to look at Mamdani the last episode. So
Yeah, he gives off a schwarm. Anyway.
Warm.
Yeah, we did this last time. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
Like shawarma, like the meat. It's kind of gross. What color is it? I don't know. Is it moving? Do you see it moving? I'm kidding. Shawarma's delicious. Well, this has been episode 235 of the Carmen Fide podcast. I shan't let us sit here in silence.
Thank you. I don't have
No,
anything else to
Jesse.
say. That was great.
Thank you.
We should start a whole podcast channel just reading old documents.
Oh my gosh, we should. And we should.
Once
should
all
put
of
it on
our kids are out of
OnlyFans.
the house.
Can we start an OnlyFans channel where we just read old documents?
just testing those waters. Drop a comment if, if you would subscribe to our OnlyFans channel. Just kidding. Don't do that. You'll out yourself. Oh
I'm just
my
saying.
gosh.
We just read documents, historic finding documents, and we just letters. I mean, all these great documents. We just go for it.
On OnlyFans.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, the clientele might get weird. Let's not do that. That's
Yeah, they try to start a chat, and it would just the interactions would not be good.
no. We will only read these clothes. No, we will not put our feet on camera. Tom, stop asking.
Oh my gosh, not the feet.
Right,
Everyone has an American history pseudonym. It's like, oh man. All right, we got. I can't do that anymore. That's crazy.
Well, we really appreciate you listening to the Carpe Fide podcast, and we hope this has enlightened you to some things in history that you just didn't know, and now you do. And once you know, you can't unknow. But our nation was founded on Christian principles, overtly, some might say systemically, Christian principles. We have forgotten them, and we no longer pray to the God who sought to give us these blessings in the beginning, thinking that we ourselves have been made gods, and we are ignorant. Let's go ahead and grab hold of the Bible and live that out. So at the end of every episode, dear Christian, we like to encourage you this day to
Seize the faith.